welcome. I'm Genine Howard, founder of Iconic Empires and Profile Magazine. And today I've got a bit of a reunion for myself, but someone new that I'm introducing to our beautiful community. And it's the gorgeous Elizabeth de Moraes. Now, I have to say your name with flair because this is a woman of absolute flair. She is iconic in her own right, and I'm so excited for you to meet her, just like I know her very well. Welcome, first of all, to the show.
Thank you so much, Genine. Thank you so much for your time and your grace and your beauty. Thank you for sharing your community with me.
They're going to love you, right? So let's dive into this. Now,
yes.
I know you from a few different aspects, and everything from being just a gorgeous woman. We've been in Sister Minds together. You're a past dancer, professional dancer. But one of your really core missions is about women becoming iconic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yes.
And I love that because we're both on a similar path, but let's talk about what your mission is for women in the world and why it's so important.
Definitely. Well, I completely feel that we are all created for a certain purpose. That when we're born, we're given gifts and talents and visions and dreams that are our marching orders. And so many times throughout our life, we have words spoken over us, or something happens and we make these split second decisions about what those things mean, how we are supposed to show up, and what is available to us and what's not available to us. We're not enough. We're like all these things that start defining who we are and how we speak to ourselves and how we show up in the world, which mostly is pushing those gifts down. And what I like to do is to help my clients reconnect with that little girl. I work mostly with women, and I'm assuming this community is also mostly women. And so we need to pause. So what I do often with my clients, and usually they're women, and I know this community is full of women as well, is to really go back to when we were little girls, and find that fun picture. And of course, you have to be very careful in case you have had a traumatic childhood. That's a different story, but often we can find that picture when we were 2 or 3 or 4, where we just had so much energy and there was this exuberance and creativity and dressing up in different ways, and as an astronaut or as a dancer or whatever it is, but you see that spark inside of that child, of yourself. And I always say, like, that's what we're supposed to reconnect with, because we often have pushed it so far away. And when we step into that and really reconnect with that and get an alignment, and then take action into what we're supposed to go and do authentically, unapologetically, with flair, as we spoke about, whatever your flair is, that's when you start to become iconic to yourself, to your tribe, to your community, to your family, and you start living and leaving a legacy. And so it's, for me, I've spent so much of my life, expressing my gifts and my talents, but at the same time, what I've done a lot is to hide in plain sight. What I call is hiding in plain sight. And it's just, I'm out there, but I know that there's so much more inside of me that I'm terrified to bring out. And so I sabotage that, or I shortchange myself, and it comes out through perfectionism and imposter syndrome, like all the stuff that we add when, like, why don't we just step into who we're supposed to be? And so that's my mission, is helping women, whatever those gifts are. Like I said, those are your marching orders, and I'm here to help you pull those out and create them in whatever form that is, whether it's a book or books, speaking, being on stage, performing maybe, or putting out online programs, creating products. I've created products. And so it's whatever those things are, that's that tickle inside, you got to go do it. Otherwise it's going to fester forever until you answer it.
And you've really started answering your call in the last few years, haven't you?
Mm-hmm, definitely, especially this year.
Yeah. Could you share with our audience a little bit about your journey? Because
Sure. What part? It's 48 years old. Or 48 years long.
Let's say over the last 12 months, because I've watched you really step into your own uniqueness and your own
Definitely.
iconicness.
Yes, definitely. Well, I allowed myself to really sit in a lot of self-inflicted confusion for a long time. I became a transformational coach. That's how we met, through the certification a number of years ago. And I just couldn't find like my own voice within it. Like what's my gift within that? I know that I'm here to help people. I know I'm here to help transform lives, but what is it exactly from my experiences and my gifts can I help people with? And so I tried different things, but it really was me dancing around what I'm supposed to do, you know? And so I would take one aspect of myself. So as you mentioned, I used to be a professional dancer and choreographer, did acting as well. And I thought, ooh, okay, what if I use the camera, video camera, as a transformational tool? So I'm bringing in that knowledge of myself, or from my experiences, into the entrepreneurial world, and help women and men, entrepreneurs in general, with their online presence with video. Like, how do they come across on camera? How can they better connect with their audience and also their message so that they get it out there? So helping people get that message out. But the thing is that I was like, oh, wait, I'm so much more than that. There's so much more from my experiences and my gifting that I need to bring out. And so, but I kept myself in this confusion mode and self-sabotage to not fully step into it. And it's this year's, I mean, actually, you may not know this, but this has been you've seen the big transformation, but it's only because of massive pain inside the cocoon. And you're seeing the coming out of that, the butterfly coming out of it, but there's been a huge amount of internal transformation that had to occur to almost, not almost, to a breaking point. And so at that breaking point, where I just everything got so constricted because I wasn't stepping into what I was supposed to step into, I had to make a decision. Either not be here anymore and not do this anymore, or fully decide not only to go full force, but fully decide that, okay, I'm actually bored of myself. Like, this over and over and over of confusion and lack mentality and scarcity and always feeling terrified about life, but having to keep everything on the outside looking good, right? I had to decide, okay, this is old. I can't be like this anymore. This is just not going to do it anymore. And then I also had to decide the women that I want to serve, that I know is like where my true gift is. I always said they're there, but I was really terrified to approach them and to really work with them, because I was like, well, what if really, I know I can, but what if I can't? But like that dance going back and forth, right? So I just made the decision that these women do exist, that the level of client that I desire to work with exists, and they will pay. And I can, for dang sure, sound like a little, for dang sure, help them. And so now I show up so much more in my power, and with intention, and really focus in on who is it that I'm supposed to be. Okay, I am now practicing being her. Yeah. Not just faking it being her. It's okay, how would she act? How does she make decisions? How does she wake up in the morning? How does she want to feel all day? How does she drink? How much water does she drink? What does she eat? How does she love her family? How, I hope I can say this, how can she show up as a total badass and totally confident in who she is, in order to really lead the leaders who need this to like pull themselves to that next level and to impact the world in their own way. And so that's the transformation that I've gone through, to just say, okay, I'm here, and be very brave. Like my hashtags are be brave, be bold, and be iconic. And so it's me just fully going, okay, fear is always going to be there. Thank you for sitting on my, in the passenger seat. It's always going to be there, but then that means I need to move into it. And so that's me leaning into it, rather than going, no, okay, I'm scared, I'm going to stay there. So many things have come from this now, though, because I love the clients that I'm now working with. I'm not trying to sell $47 online courses, begging for people to buy it, you know, and where now I can charge, and I know I can deliver at a very high level. And all of a sudden, then all these other opportunities start coming into play. I'm now an associate producer for an Amazon Prime show that's going to be filmed in June of this year, of 2020, and then released in 2021. So it's cool how things keep opening up when you open up to your gifts. Does that answer your question?
It absolutely answers my question. And what I love about that is that this level of vulnerability, openness, and bravery is actually what is required for us as women to really step up. And you leading by example has actually given so many people that aha moment to go, oh, perhaps I have been hiding. Perhaps my next level of success is actually because I've been stuck in that fear mode. So
yes,
it's women like you to go first.
And what?
It takes women like you to go first.
Thank you. Yeah. And because it's the success is, and what you want to do is right here. It's right here. But so many times we're like, oh, but I'm not worthy, or I don't deserve it, or I'm not going to be good enough. Or what if they find out that I don't know as much as I say, or what if I fall flat on my face? Okay. Then, now go learn more. Right. And the longer you wait, the tighter it's going to get. And if people, often will say it takes a leap of faith. I say it's a fall of faith. Because in my vision, as a physical person, a dancer, leap takes pulling back and jumping. So if you think leap of faith, I'm like, and go. And really it's just a fall. And as you fall, excuse me, that's where the beauty is, because you will find that you then can trust yourself. Maybe you fall flat on your face, but then you'll know how to get up. But at the same time, you'll realize, oh, I can trust myself, because that's what it was all about. I didn't trust myself because of all the perfectionism and all of that I'm like, well, I can never be like that. Excuse me. But because of decisions that I had made in the past that I was ashamed of, or that had gotten us into certain, financial situations, or whatever I might, or anybody might feel ashamed about. And so I was living in that constantly. And so no more, just let it go.
Wow. And I would call that surrender. Complete surrender is when we just let it go.
Oh, and it's surrender.
It's the highest risk we can ever take, but it gives the most amount of benefits. And so for people listening to this, they're probably like, it might be fine for you because, look at you, Elizabeth, you're just gorgeous. You've got it all together. But really,
no, I don't.
The reality is that none of us really have it all together. And until such time as we completely surrender, till we completely trust ourselves. And even then it's a journey of
it's constant.
More trust and more surrender and more faith. And so I want to bring back some of the realities that can happen when we actually are not in alignment, when we still hold back and we still don't trust ourselves. You've had some significant things occur to you, one of which occurred not long after we had sort of met in that area. And I'm talking about the accident. Do you mind sharing that?
Of my car?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, which thing are we talking about? My accident, where the car was totaled. Okay, so you want me to describe what happened, and then with the car?
I guess it's more about when we're not in alignment, the universe, I believe, tends to give us a little tap every now and again. However, sometimes it's a bigger tap than expected, isn't it?
Right. Right. Well, it's a scary story, but at the same time, it's kind of humorous as well, because I had this little yellow sports car, and I was stepping more and more. This was, I guess this was 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago or so. And I started realizing, okay, I really desire to work with a certain type of client, someone who is established in their business, and they're going to I need to look the part, not to act in a certain way, but I need to act the part. And so coming up in this little yellow sports car, a Hyundai, which is, you know, not like the highest level of brand, but so super cute. But I had just started thinking, you know what, maybe I need to change my car, because I'm all about personal branding and being consistent with every aspect of how you present yourself to the world, what you live in, like just because it's an expression of who you are. And so I was starting to get out of alignment, in a sense, if we want to call it that, in terms of my branding. When this isn't where my business is going, because I bought this car a number of years ago, or I had bought this car a few years ago before, when I was actually health coaching. And so I was going, and I was a personal trainer, or Pilates and yoga instructor. So I thought, how cute, go to my clients' houses with a yellow car, all bright and shiny, you know, like, and this is like, I'm happy and healthy. And so, but I was like, that's not, I mean, yes, I want to be happy and healthy, but I'm more grounded, more iconic, you know? And so I thought, okay, I need to start looking at different cars. And so I went to an event, and I was driving down the highway. I live in Dallas, Texas, and it was a 4-lane highway. And I was in let's see, there's this side, and then here, and then 2 lanes on this side. Okay. So I'm in the second one, and all of a sudden I feel my car kind of get kicked, and a semi truck, an 18-wheeler, like tapped me on like they were changing lanes, because I was so tiny. The car was so tiny and low. It hit me on the side and the back. And I started spinning on a major highway at like at 4 p.m, which is when like major traffic. And I spun, and then I spun in front of it at a 90 degrees. So the truck is going like this, and I'm here, and it's dragging me sideways. And then I break free, and I spin around again. And now I'm going backwards, stuck on the side of the truck, looking back to the people who are coming. And then I broke free and spun again on this direction, like over 3 lanes, and finally stopped. My car was totaled. The only thing that like broke, that injured me, was when I hit the front of the truck. I look up, and there's the truck, and all the glass fell in, and I got a scratch on my leg. And then I was like, okay, I made it through that. And then, but I started spinning away from it, thinking, okay, now I'm going to really get smashed. But I didn't. I walked away with 1 little scratch, and my car totally demolished. And the humor of it is, I told a client of mine, and she goes, Elizabeth, you manifested this. You could have just gone to a car dealership to get a new car. Like, why did you, you were already asking, you didn't need to have an accident. But that was a big wake up call for me, because I realized, okay, one, we only have this one life. And I literally had an 18-wheeler hit me on the highway and total my car. But it was, okay, you need to stay in alignment and listen to those inner voices and take action, whatever that looks like. But so many times we just sit back out of fear and don't take action, which then just fosters more fear and more inaction. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Look, so now I have a fully paid for Lexus, which is a nice luxury car, fully paid for. So
yeah, and which suits your brand, and which is
totally, it's a nice sleek black car with tan interior or cream interior.
Yeah. And I just want to reiterate for our listeners, it's not about the car.
Not at all. Or like, no. Yeah, no, I'm not about material things, but at the same time, I'm all about, fully that's why I said fully paid for, and it was a used car, so, but it's really about having things around you that express who you desire to be, that's from inside, like the comfort, the luxury. It is not about the glitz and glam. It's, no, this is this supports me and how I want to live.
So Elizabeth, you have done some pretty amazing things in your career. Like, obviously both of us have had such a long career, but for you there's been a couple of really key
obviously, because we're so old. We're so old.
We're wise. But there's been a couple of really key you know, exciting things that have happened for you in the past couple of years. Could you tell us about those for us?
Of course. Well, you were at the event when my divine download came for the video Glam Cam Kit, right? Okay. So 2 years ago, like right around this time, we were both in a mastermind or a sister mind, and the coach there said, "Have you ever thought about creating a product?" And I had toyed around with different things, but at that point I was thinking, well, not, you know, a mug, a journal, no, yeah, you know, like, okay, you know. And so she said, well, close your eyes, go into meditation or prayer, whatever works for you, and ask, you know, what you're going to create. So I started praying and said, okay, God, what are we going to create here? Who is it for? And what's the problem we're going to solve? And literally within 2 minutes, everything that was going to be in the Glam Cam Kit, and I'll explain what that is here in a second, came to my mind. I knew that I wanted it to be glamorous and iconic, and to be an experience when you unwrapped it. And what it is, it's all the equipment you need to take the guesswork out of creating your social media videos. So for that kit, it had a small ring light that was an arm that clamped onto tables or, you know, doorways, so that you can then be seen. Had a selfie stick and a tripod that was really tall, and then a ring, a blinged out ring, mirror, and a bag that held it all. But they also then had a journal and 2 microphones. So because I was finding a lot that by helping my clients with with video, we'd do interviews and we'd be like, okay, like, you know, like hiding that. And the reason why I'm not using the video Glam Cam Kit microphone right now is because I can't hear anything then, because it's a one-way microphone, right? It's for when you're doing recorded videos or Facebook, Instagram lives. And so so it has 2 so that you can do interviews, and then in a gorgeous box so that when you open it up, you'd have this great experience. And that idea came to me. I knew that it was my idea to put out into the world, you know, like, again, what's been placed in us are our marching orders, because for various reasons. 1, you're supposed to bring it out into the world. 2, it's who you're supposed to become in the process, because you go through the fire of creating it and putting it out there, but also what you're supposed to experience while doing it and putting it out there. And so I said, okay, I got to make this happen. Never done anything like this before. I sourced the materials. I researched the different things that I'd want to have in there. I figured out, okay, if I have these things that are the core parts of this kit, how are they going to fit? What size box? What color box? Like, and also I did focus groups and all different types of things, and sourced the material and took orders and started shipping within 6 weeks. And so I was like, okay, gonna get it done. And I would just put my blinders on, no fear, just like, there was fear, but I'm not listening to it. I got to get into problem solving mode. How can I make this happen? And so created that. And 7 months fast forward, I was in a coaching session with my coach, and we were talking about the different areas of where this kit could go. You know, do I send it to influencers so that they can promote it on Instagram and the like, or do I sell them one off, like just, you know, as like an Amazon cart type of thing, or do I do it private label or white label for companies who might want to order 100 or 1,000, what have you, to build their brand? So it would be, you know, it'd be my kit, but it would have their branding on it. So I did go forward actually and trademark it. So it's now a registered trademark. So it was mine. And so we were in this session, and I said, you know what, I know we're talking about these different directions that it would go to, but, you know, I'd really love for this to be in one of those award ceremonies, like the Emmys or the Oscars or something. She goes, oh, that's great. Let's think about that. Stay focused. Eye on the prize. You know, don't let yourself get confused and, you know, shiny object syndrome. And she said, that's great. Maybe 2 years or so from now, but let's really focus on that. Let's put it on your dream board or your vision board, and stay open to conversations and all. Literally, that was a Tuesday. On a Friday, I was filming a client do an interview, and the gentleman that she interviewed, he said something about, yeah, when he owns a water company, a special health water company. And he said, yeah, when we were backstage at the Emmys, blah, blah, blah. I went, what's this? Like, how did he do that? So once they were finished, of course, I was like, the whole interview, I was like, can I just ask him now? But when he was finished, I said, how did you do that? Because that's not really something that you really know how to do, right? It's not a common thing. He goes, oh, I have the number and the name of the woman who originated in the 90s, the gift bags for celebrities, the swag bags and things, and then this gifting suite. Sure, here it is. And so I sat on it, on the name and the number, for a few days, and I was like, okay, the heck with it, just do it, just reach out to her. And so I did, and she said, well, what are you interested in? And I said, well, tell me what events you have and all that. She said, well, the Emmys are coming up, and it was 2.5 weeks or so, 2.5, 3 weeks. And I was like, oh, well, that was something I was going to do in a year or two when I'm ready. And she said, well, submit your material and see if you can be accepted. And these are the parameters of what has to happen, and what you will gain from it. And I said, okay, well, let's submit to the Emmy committee. And I was waiting for the results. And that one morning I was with my coach again, and I said, you know what, this is just this idea is just a distraction. Let me just stay focused. Let's not do it. And she then, right after that, an email came through, you've been accepted to be in the gift bag. And I was like, oh, well, no, I have to do it, but I have to be there. I can't just have in there. So that, okay, I have to be in the room. And this is the audacity, like when you just have to step forward. And I said, okay, I got to be in the room. What does that look like? And so long story short, got accepted, but there were so many hula hoops I had to jump through to get there, where every single hour of the day, I didn't know what the next step was until I stepped into that one step and said, okay, is this going to work, or is that going to work? I try it, didn't work. Okay, next. Like total, like impossibility. Like so many impossibilities that I just said, no, I'm supposed to be there. God keeps showing me what I'm supposed to do. And I would step into it. And, okay, that worked. And it was unbelievable. Within 2.5 weeks, I had everything organized. I got myself to LA 2 days, like one day to take all the product there, get it set up, and then get there. And I mean, it's things like the hotel I got to stay in, literally the back door walked into the alleyway into the stage door of the arena. Like, it's like that type of synergy is just crazy. And so I was able to do that. And I wouldn't have ever been able to be in that room backstage with Michael Douglas and RuPaul and Taraji P. Henson and all these different people had I not created that product and been had the audacity to go, hey, I'm going to try this. So that's one of the big things that, that has come about.
And it is just one of the stories to really show that when you do take faith and you do completely trust and you do just take the risk, the next one, the next one, the next one.
Totally.
Who knows what's possible. And one of the last pieces I'd love you to speak into is you were talking about, reconnecting to, your inner child, like when you're a little girl, what you love doing. And can you give an example of when you've done that in your career and how it's helped you move forward?
Definitely. Dancing. I hadn't danced in almost 15 years. When kids came, I stopped just because I wanted to be, the good mom, do what I thought was the adult thing to do. And not that dancing isn't the adult thing to do, but I knew that with rehearsals and all of that would be in the evenings and traveling, that had to stop. But this is something, dance is something that from the age of 5, I knew. I just looked at my parents. I remember the day. I can remember it. The movie Fantasia? Yeah. With the Disney Fantasia, and there are these dancing hippopotami or hippopotamuses in tutus. I saw them. I was like, I want to be that, not the hippopotamus, but I want to dance like that. I want to be a professional dancer at the age of 5. And my parents are both scientists. Like, they were like, where did this child come from? And so all my life I was a dancer, throughout high school, into college, did 2 master's degrees, almost a PhD in dance, performed all over Europe, choreographed all over. And then it just stopped. And I thought I was doing the responsible thing. And I talked myself into believing that I didn't miss it. But during that whole time, there was just this feeling of something missing, but I never could put my fingers on it. And a year ago, a little over a year ago, I was approached to be a part of do you all have in Australia, do you have Dancing for the Stars or With the Stars?
We do.
Show? Okay. So we have here in the States, a lot of philanthropy or, foundations, charities will have this type of event locally. And so I was approached to be one of the celebrities, local celebrities, to then partner with one of the professionals, ballroom dancing. And so I was terrified because I'd never done ballroom dancing. So all these fears came up of, well, I'm supposed to be good because I was a professional dancer, but I've never done this. So how am I going to show up in this? So I was really afraid, but also my body wasn't responding as I knew it could. And so stepping into it, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And so much got reignited inside of me because I started moving and dancing and expressing myself through it. And one thing that's one of the core things in my coaching is that here I was videoing these rehearsals because I was saying, I was raising money for this foundation as well. So I want you to come along with my journey. I want you to also, please help this foundation. We're raising funds for it. Whoever raises the most funds wins, but also who's the best dancer wins. So there were 2 different awards. So I was going for both. But there was one time when my coaches saw the videos and they're like, what's this wrapped around your waist? I said, it's my jacket. Why? Because it's hot. Well, why didn't you throw it on the ground? Because I'm wearing layers. I just put it on. No, really, what are you hiding? And I said, my butt. You say, okay. And it's a husband and wife duo. And I'm close to them. I didn't think of it as anything bad, but he's like, you have a butt. It's really nice. So show it off. Like, why are you hiding it? You are fully present, but you're still hiding. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is how I'm living so much of my life. And that's actually one of the turning points of, the transformation this last year is, oh, you're there, but are you really fully there? And what was so cool is when you take that layer off, whatever that metaphorical layer is for yourself, and be in a sense naked, feeling naked, you're then able to see what you're dealing with, what you're working with. And in response, my butt actually changed because I knew I could see how it was working, and then it got tighter and everything, which is great. But then also I was like, oh, this is me. And then I could totally be so free, and it changed so much for me. And it really helped me reconnect with that little girl. Mm-hmm. And my writing got so much more prolific and creative and inspiring, and I won. It actually looks small back there. Look how big it is.
Lordy, that's amazing.
It's so beautiful. So it brought out I used to be very competitive, and then I let go of the competitiveness because I don't feel like there's competition in anything we do in terms of when we think competitively, we compare ourselves and then we can pull ourselves down. And so I think, you and I do things very similar. We even have the same language almost, but we're not in competition with each other, right? Yeah. But there is that element of, ooh, but I want to win. And that hadn't been awake in me for so long. And when that came out, I was like, oh, heck yes, I'm winning. And I did. So it helped develop that confidence. So that whole time really helped me develop this whole element of developing confidence and putting yourself out there and teaching people how to develop their confidence, their iconic confidence that is theirs and theirs alone, because they step into their gifts with courage. There's no getting it out of doing it afraid.
And it just really shows people that you have to take those risks, like get out there, do those things that reignite that fire within you. And that is where the aha moments are. The aha moments are not sitting behind a computer. They're not sitting in your office at home. They're putting yourself on the line.
Totally. And putting yourself on the line and allowing yourself to possibly fall, and really not allowing the ego to run the show. Because my whole thing was, I was fearful of even stepping into it because, like I said, what if I'm not as good as I used to be? What if, and people don't know me as a dancer. The people who are in my current circle, they don't know me as a dancer. And that was something that was very frustrating the whole time too, is because people didn't know me. that part of me. But I knew it was in there, but I was terrified to bring it out, because what if it's not as good as it used to be? Or what if it's not as good as, what if it never was that good? It was good. I will take that. It was good.
Trophy shows it was good.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just, we do so much in our heads, and it's just like, let it go, listen to that inner core, get in alignment and take action, and you're going to fly. You're going to do what you're supposed to do, and just enjoy the process, and don't let anything derail you. Maybe let it go, but then come back and do it.
Such beautiful and wise words. So to wrap up our interview today, Elizabeth, what gift do you have for our listeners today?
Definitely. Thank you. Now I have a 4-part video series for you, along with those come workbooks or worksheets that make up an entire workbook. Let's say it that way. And it's all about developing your confidence. I have a 6-part or 6-step or 6-pillar process that I take my clients through, that I call the iconic confidence method. And so it works you through those to really help you develop the confidence for you, so you can shine, so you can have that charisma that is authentically you, bringing that out into the world and creating the things that you're supposed to. So you will have that. It works out to be about an hour worth of video content, and then the exercises that go along with it. But I divided them up so they're a little bit more bite-sized for you.
Incredible. Thank you so much for that. And thanks for your time today. And I'm sure that people listening to today's interview are going to start reigniting their own spark, because that's what it's all about. We've all got that spark within it. It's about getting it out. And you're a real example of doing that. So thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.